Welcome. My name is Joshua Brown, a certified financial planner, chartered life underwriter, certified executive advisor, and today we're going to be talking about a very hot topic, RESP. What is an RESP? A definition of an RESP is a registered education savings plan. Pretty cool. What is that designed to do? It's designed for Canadians to be able to save for an education on a tax sheltered or tax deferred basis, and then be able to use that money for education or schooling. So it's a really, really great plan. It is limited to a maximum amount of what can be put into that plan. So on an annual basis, that's $2,500 per child, leaving 1 year catch-up room per year. Meaning that if your child is 3 years old, you have never contributed to an RSP, this year, calendar year, you can contribute $5,000 and get the first year your child was born catch-up room. And then what would happen is if you had more room to catch up on, it would go in sequence from age 1, 2, 3, 4, up until you've matched all of the room that you have. The maximum amount that can be put into an RESP is a $50,000 lifetime maximum, which will attract the grant money of approximately $7,200 would be the maximum grant money from the Canada Education Savings Grant. So what happens if my kids don't go to school? Well, that's a really common question. What would happen is we would pay back the grant money. The growth and the contributions would be able to be rolled back into our RRSP or our and our spouse's RRSP. There's no tax deduction for that, but there's no tax implication. If we just withdrew those funds and spent them, we're going to pay tax plus an additional 30% penalty tax on top of that. So we do not want that to happen. They can roll into an RRSP fairly simply. The amount we put in of our own contributions, because that was after tax money, that would not be applicable to the 30% penalty. It's the growth portion. So the really neat thing is, yes, you can borrow the government's money, make money from it, and all we have to do is pay back what we originally took, not what it's worth today. So in theory, after 15 years, that money is worth 15 years of inflation. It's not nearly worth the same amount, that dollar, as when we received it, as when we have to pay it back. So certainly a good idea, even if you do have to pay it back. So a common question I am asked all the time is, so when I go to use this money, how does it work for my kids and me? Who gets taxed? As I know, there's some kind of tax to be paid. You're not wrong. So what happens is your son or daughter is now in university. They decide they've been told they need about $10,000 to withdraw from the RESP account. Now, on an annual basis, there's a maximum EAP withdrawal of $8,000. And what an EAP withdrawal is the money we put in, our own money is tax-free. We attracted a grant from that, and we also attracted growth over the years. What the RESP does is upon withdrawal is the advisor institution, we're going to say we want to take the grant money and the growth first, which is the taxable portion, and it's going to be taxable in the student's name. So if they're making less than $13,000 income for the year and that's all that they've taken, chances are the tax will be nil or zero. Again, check with a tax professional or an accountant to confirm anything that's said on this, but essentially up until a certain point, depending on whether your child is working, a large portion of that RESP may be fully tax-free just based on the tax bracket of the average student. So what happens is if the amount is $10,000, we've taken $8,000 maximum of the taxable portion, and then the other $2,000 comes out of the money that we put in. What the RESP will do is each year we'll use up the grant and the growth first, leaving, ideally, if the child has some money left over, leaving it in the maximum amount of our own contributions as possible. So that is the design of an RESP, the design of the taxation on an RESP. Just gonna check my notes here if there's anything else I want to touch on. The other thing I wanted to mention is my wife's relative was showing them a piece of paper, and it was essentially a scholarship trust plan. And these have become pretty popular in Ontario, certainly in other provinces, I'm sure. And what happens is someone gives you a call right after you've had a baby, you're just home from the hospital, and they say, hey, how would you like to get an RESP? You sign up, and you don't really know much else about RESPs. If you've seen this, you're going to be well educated, but other than that, you may end up in a pickle of a situation. So what happened to a number of people who've ended up in these trust plans, one of them a good friend of mine, is they set up a payment schedule. You're not told that if you stop the schedule, you may lose all of the money inside the plan. A traditional RESP at a Big Five bank, or in Thessalon we have the Northern Credit Union, you're going to be able to have the same RESP that we offer here in our office. They would not offer a scholarship trust plan. So I would recommend, if you're opening up an RESP, go with a Big Five bank or a credit union or an advisor who's dealing with regular institutions, not scholarship trust plans. The reason is these aren't well explained to the client. And I've had some clients that worked out really well. They read the fine print. They were able to get a little bit of extra money, they felt. Others felt just absolutely handcuffed to this plan and unable to change. The penalties to transfer some of those trust plans can be in the tens and $15,000. The penalties are very, very high to deter people from withdrawing from those plans. So the typical transfer fee out of a regular RESP from a bank to another bank, maybe $150. So much different than $10,000 to $15,000 hit when you have $20,000 saved. I have seen that in my practice. And if you want to see parents really upset, mad at the decisions they made, frustrated with the person that sold it, that's what happens. And unfortunately, that's the news I have to deliver sometimes. It's not pretty, but it's the truth. So I would recommend with an RESP, pop by our office. We can certainly let you know if you're opening up the right one at a bank or institution. You don't need to open it here for us to give you some advice and get you on the right path. I don't want to see anybody hurt and have to lose a huge chunk of money that we plan on using for our children's education. And it's really nasty to find out some of this stuff 5-10 years later. Now, if you want to hear more about RESPs, there is all kinds of stuff to know. There's little things, there's estate planning things. I'm going to leave it there. Leave some comments in the comment section. This is going to be a feedback-oriented channel. I will create a video if I get enough comments, maybe even just one, asking for a certain amount of data. I'm here to listen and react and make this a very, very educational experience for Algoma and Ontario and Canada. So I hope to be your Canadian literacy guy. Anyway, have a great day, and it's a beautiful Saturday in Thessalon, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.